Hi, Professor McCullough here, and we're going to talk about histograms, what they're useful for, and how we make them with Excel. Let's start by looking at a histogram. Here's a really basic histogram that shows the ages of a particular population. And the way that a histogram works is it puts your data into groups, right? And these groups are called bins. So this bin here, I'm clicking on, shows the number of people in this population of age 1 to 21. And if you look over here on this axis, we see that the number of people that represents is somewhere between, what it looks like, that's between 35 and 40 people. And the next bin represents people from age 21 to 41, and we see that that is right at 30 people, or maybe 31, and so on. So again, each of these groups are bins. Each of these columns represents a bin of data. Okay, so the data that is represented in a histogram is by nature going to be very simple data. It's actually just a single column's worth of data in this case. Column is age, and then we have the different ages that are found in the population, right? So, question is, how do we transform this into a histogram? Let's just scroll through the data. Yeah, we have like a little over 80 data points here. So we click on our title, and if we want to select the entire column, we can do Control-Shift down. Look at that. It's selected all the way down to 86. That's a nice little shortcut that you might want to use. And then we can go to Insert. And over here, there is a group of charts that we haven't talked about yet, statistic charts. So we click on that. There's histogram. Yay! We click here, and we've selected histogram. And there's our data represented with those bins. Notice that the bins created by Excel are not necessarily in the range that we want them to be. So Excel has decided to give me 1 through 16 as the first column, and 16 through 31 as the next column, etc. Right? Excel decides, and I don't know what the logic is behind how they decide, but they will give you a set of bins based on their criteria, and we are allowed to change them. We change them by clicking on the horizontal category axis, which is these data ranges for the bins, right? So we just click on one of them, and then we get this format axis menu popping up on the right hand side, and we can determine bin width, right? It's giving us a bin width of 15. That's what it decided was useful. So age 1 through 16, 16 through 31, etc. Right? And if we do it that way, then there's going to be 6 bins, but maybe we want fewer bins. Maybe we want a bin width that takes us about 20 years. If we click on that, and notice the number of bins automatically changes. I was going to adjust it, but actually I don't have to. It determines the number of bins that's appropriate based on the bin width that we give it. So now we've created our histogram, and so we do some of the niceties that we should always do, like put a title on it. The title here is pretty straightforward. It's just age, right? Because that's what these bars are representing. And we should also put an axis over here, an axis label. So we go to Add Chart Element, and it says Axis Title. So we'll do primary vertical, right? What does this number represent? Well, it represents the number of people with that age. So we'll just say number of people. And finally, we want to move the chart over to its own place. That's how we demoed it in the beginning. So let's do that again. We'll just do that and we'll say new sheet. We'll call it age histogram. We click OK. And now it's in its own space. Okay, so histogram is a useful tool. Now you know how to do it. Go ahead and make one as you'll be asked to do in this week's exercise.